Jeff Gold is back with us. He's been following this case since the beginning. Marie Hall, let's talk about some of the high points, at least on the prosecution side. She's motive, right? She's the jealous motive for Jodi Arias. Jodi should be going to Cancun, right? Not Marie Hall.
Well, according to Jodi, she didn't want to go. But I'm going to say this: it is perfectly appropriate that we go back over this and look at the state's case. It's been 5 weeks of defense testimony and more. And now we go to MiMi. MiMi is probably the key, the motive, the reason why Jodi did it. Remember what happened with Bianca, Matt McCarty's girlfriend. Jodi drives an hour and a half to go confront her. Well, guess what? It's not a big jump to say she drove 10.5 hours to confront Travis over MiMi. And who is MiMi? Maybe she's the good Mormon girl that Travis really does want to marry, not the bad girl, Jodi, not the sex-craved Jodi. So MiMi is key.
All right, and talk about, you mentioned the timeline. You're an attorney, Jeff. How do you make sure, if you're Juan Martinez, that they don't forget all this? It's been so long, and you've had all this drama around Jodi Arias' testimony. Will they remember MiMi?
Well, I think that Juan is going to have a perfect opportunity, if anything is raised as to Travis with Alice LaViolette, to go in cross and bring up these kinds of things. In addition, he has rebuttal. So the way these cases work is the state's case, the defense case, and then there is a state's rebuttal. So he'll be able to bring some of it home. He doesn't get to relitigate the whole case, but since the defense has brought up this domestic violence and post-traumatic stress, the state will have a lot that it can talk about. And MiMi is critical because I think she's the whole motive for this.
Yeah. Do you think right now, as it stands in this case, that the jury has clear motive in their mind? Do you think they see Jodi Arias as the woman in the jealous rage?
Wow, I mean, the defense has been harping on the fact that Jodi's the victim. Boy, you wouldn't even remember there was a murder victim in this case, the way we hear it. There's poor Jodi, poor Jodi, poor Jodi. Well, how about poor Travis? He's the one who was butchered, and now, today, we get a chance to go back and listen to that, and we got to the point just now of where he's dead. Look, that's what this case is about. It's the murder of Travis Alexander, and Jodi is accused of it, but if she had her way, she'd be saying she's the victim here.
Well put. And you guys are chiming in on, you're tweeting me at Mike Alanos HLN. Continue to do so. Again, it's fascinating to listen to this. I know, Jeff, you like to tweet as well, because as we listen to Marie Hall, we're going back. Jeff Gold, our defense attorney. We hit on a couple new topics there, Jeff, over the last couple of segments as we listen to Marie Hall. One, the term stalker thrown out there. Now, she did not say that Travis told her, yes, it's Jodi Arias, but you still got the phrase out there. What do you think about how that's going to play in court?
Well, you have to be very close to the vest on that if you're the prosecutor, because there is not enough evidence to link up Jodi to it. If there was enough evidence to do it, Juan Martinez would have tried to get it in as what's called a prior bad act, something showing motive, intent, method of operation, much as he was able to get in this prior rush to Bianca's to confront her. If he had evidence that she actually did the stalking, then boy, that would have been very good for the state. So he has to play it very carefully. It comes in because it's factually what was going on. There was a stalker, at least in terms of Travis's mind and what was going on, but he cannot say that it's Jodi, and I don't know that there's enough circumstantial evidence for the court to even allow him to infer it in argument, but we'll have to see about that. You know what we did here? We heard about Travis's Prius, in the garage. That doesn't sound like an aggressive domestic violence aggressor to me. It sounds like a green, everybody loves you kind of guy. That's what Marie Hall's doing. And I'll tell you something else. It's very crafty of Juan when he did this. He's made MiMi, Marie Hall, be the pious one, the one to speak for the Mormon church, the good girl versus Jodi, the bad devil on his shoulder.
Right. And as you pointed out, as the last time we spoke, that potentially she was the one that Travis wanted to have a future with. She was the one that he could potentially marry. Then she even inferred that he liked her more than she liked him, which potentially could make Jodi Arias all the more angry. Another thing that, again, got into court, or at least said in court, was the slashed tires. How damaging could that be for the defendant here?
Well, again, you know, the prosecutor's better be careful because he's got to, you know, link it up to Jodi. Those things occurred, and he can bring them in. The court has allowed the information in, and finding that it's not, there's more probative value than prejudicial, but it's close to the line there because he's going to want to make the inference who did that in closing arguments. And I know that the defense is going to argue vociferously that he can't make that inference, that he can say those things occurred, but there's not enough to say it's Jodi. We'll see if he can argue, if he's allowed to argue it then. It's certainly what everybody believes, that Jodi was the stalker.
And let's talk about, you know, again, as you mentioned it, and let's go a step further with Marie Hall as the pious one. She knows and lives the faith, or at least it seems, right? If they were going to go to Cancun, she was comfortable because she was going to stay with a family, and she was going to be in the same room with a little girl. When they get into the sins and fornication and adultery, how's that playing out here? Why is Juan Martinez going there, Jeff?
Well, it's great to see it the way we are doing it, you know, looking at it again now, because we know what Jodi has said. And there's something about a trial, especially a long trial like this, which should expose the truth, and you get it. You get here the idea that maybe Travis was a player, maybe MiMi Hall knows that, and she really doesn't want any parts of him as a potential mate, but she's willing to go to Cancun to have fun as long as she can sleep in another bedroom with a girl, as a good Mormon girl would want to do. And you get this, that, you know, he may be a player, but that doesn't mean that he was a domestic violence aggressor or that he was anything of the sort. So I think some of that came across from Jodi's testimony. You kind of believe some of it. And after all, we listened to the tape. We know that it seemed Travis liked the sex.
Yeah.
So this is not a guy for MiMi. So she seems very believable, and it's pretty believable that when she says he didn't have another girl to take and we think that Jodi is the one who wanted to go, that might have set her off, and maybe that's exactly what happened in the case.
All right, Jeff, I know you're going to continue to listen. Viewers, stay tuned as well, as we're not now going to hear from